In sweltering heat under the haze of forest fire smoke, those cows are getting thirsty. Tom and Cam Johnson come to this pasture in St. Laurent, Manitoba twice a day.
Probably just drank this dry this morning.
To fill up those makeshift troughs.
End of June, beginning of July, and our dugouts are dry. Never, ever seen that before.
No water also means no hay, so he's facing the bleak prospect of needing to sell his herd before he runs out of feed.
We're going to see how far we can go and then make those tough decisions this fall or later this summer if we have to sell.
It's not just St. Laurent. Much of southern Manitoba has received less than 50% of normal precipitation this year. The heat wave has only made things worse.
Grain and pulse crops are also suffering. Winter left little snow. Drought conditions were setting in before some farmers even got on the fields.
The next 3 weeks will probably tell how much will be there.
Bill Campbell is president of Keystone Agricultural Producers. He says some rain can still salvage the year, but it has to come quick.
To say we've never seen this before, I don't think would be right, but we're in some challenging times.
Beyond the farm, a group of climate scientists that analyzed the deadly heat wave in Western Canada found climate change played a major role, making it 150 times more likely to have occurred.
The heat wave itself, really would put the kind of exclamation point on a long-term drought.
Back in St. Laurent, local officials have declared a state of agricultural disaster, calling for provincial aid.
We're all hoping for rain because...
While the province works on an announcement, Johnson is using funding already allocated to help farmers dig wells.
We drilled 2 wells in 2 other pastures, which we, all my lifetime, never had to do before.
Now, all he can do is just keep filling those tires and watch the forecast, which for at least the next week is calling for more heat and not a drop of rain. Cameron McIntosh, CBC News, St. Laurent, Manitoba.